We are Buckmore. We are St. Louis.
What a day it is to be a St. Louis sports fan. The Rams kick off the NFL season. And oh, by the way, the Cardinals are back in first place. And they'll look for a sweep today over the Pittsburgh Pirates. What a weekend it's been. The starters have been dominant. Friday night, Joe Kelly, 6 innings, 8 hits, pitched out of trouble, only 1 earned run. Good to see Adam Wainwright back in the win column. He goes 7 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs. He also moved into second place all-time on the strikeout list in Cardinals history. And welcome to Cardinals baseball. That's Rick Horton. I'm Dan McLaughlin. And welcome to what we hope is a sweep here this afternoon. It's been a great weekend of baseball.
Great to be home. Great to see the starting pitching back on track after a rough road trip. But I really like what the offense has done. They scored in 4 separate innings here yesterday and also pounded out 12 runs on 16 hits in Game 1. A lot of good at-bats.
And the starting pitching matchup here today, it's a good one. Charlie Morton, the right-hander for Pittsburgh. Michael Wacha for St. Louis. A look at those two when we come back on Fox Sports Midwest. His outing was against Arizona earlier this season, and he's coming off 6 innings at Cincinnati back on the 3rd of September. A live look at Michael Wacha wearing number 52 and warming up today. It is Charlie Morton 7-3, Wacha 2-0. A closer look at Carlos Beltran when we come back. right field. His idol, Puerto Rico's Roberto Clemente. Carlos Beltran gives back to those in Puerto Rico, his home country. He idolizes number 21 of the Pirates. Jay Randolph has more.
There was very little in the game of baseball that Roberto Clemente couldn't do well. He could hit, savagely driving the ball to all parts of the field. He could throw laser beams from his cannon-like arm and right. He could run. Clemente always hustled and never seemed interested in stopping. Clemente's career was full of awards, but his greatest accomplishments aren't written in baseball's record books. They are written on the sides of buildings. They are inscribed on monuments and statues. Clemente had a huge impact on baseball and left a bigger impact on youngsters from Latin American countries. Carlos Beltran was one of those kids from Latin America. Born an hour from Clemente's hometown of Carolina, Puerto Rico, Carlos grew up admiring Clemente, not just for being a remarkable player, but for remembering where he came from.
You know, every Puerto Rican knows about Roberto Clemente, and I just have to say that I'm proud of everything that he did. He was, like I said, great ball player, but an exceptional human being.
During the season, Clemente was busy winning batting titles, Gold Gloves, and MVPs. In the off-season while playing pro ball in Puerto Rico, he offered sports clinics for local children. One of Clemente's dreams was to create a place where young Puerto Ricans could do more than just practice sports. And in 1974, 2 years after his untimely death, his dream came true. Carlos Beltran's dreams came true about 37 years later. Carlos broke ground on the Carlos Beltran Baseball Academy in Puerto Rico.
As a ball player, I felt that for me it was the right thing for me to, build this high school, try to give back to my country, trying to play the game like he did. It was our first Puerto Rican Hall of Famer, and his memory is still alive.
This December marks the 40th year of Clemente's death in a plane crash while attempting to deliver aid to earthquake victims in Nicaragua. Clemente once said he wanted to be remembered, gave all he had to give. That's also the way he'll be remembered as a man.
It around. Yadier Molina highlighted the inning, knocked down, then knocked one out of the park. A 3-run shot for Molina, his 11th of the season. The Cardinals took game 1. Another fan favorite got in the act last night. David Freese, shades of 2011, almost the identical spot out in center field as he knocked one out of here. It's a big crowd. It's the Cards. It's the Pirates. How about a sweep this afternoon? Is brought to you by Bud Light, the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. See your Mid-America Chevy dealer or log on to stlchevy.com. Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake, just no equal. Live look at Michael Wacha and his warm-up tosses here in game number 143 of this 2013 campaign. Rick Horton's Toyota keys to the game.
#1, follow the leader. Do what Adam Wainwright did yesterday. I think Michael Wacha, watching the pitching in the first 2 games of this series, has to be a positive for him. Make Morton elevate. He's a sinker ball pitcher. He'll hit a lot of batters. He does not walk very many, but with that sinker ball, make him get it up in the zone.
Michael Wacha is our Kia starter. A record of 2-0. The ERA just over 3. Be interesting to see how many pitches he'll get to today. Last start, September 30 at 80.
Almost guess it would be in the 90 to 95 range here today. And for him to get a lot of innings in means he has to have economical innings as well. The curveball much better his last time out.
4 lefties in this lineup for Clint Hurdle. Neil Walker, the switch hitter, then Garrett Jones, Andrew McCutchen, Justin Morneau, Marlon Byrd, Pedro Alvarez, John Buck, Jordy Mercer, and Charlie Morton, who's hitting 143. Cardinals defense is brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Holiday, Jay, and Beltran in the outfield. Freese and Cosma on the left side, Carpenter, Adams on the right side, and Yachty, yet again, he's behind the plate as the Cardinals look for his sweep. And the first pitch is a breaking ball taken outside by Neil Walker. The switch hitter is hitting 265 from this side of the plate and 260 overall. Little chopper to the right side. Adams flips to Wacha. One away. We had rain all morning here in the Gateway City. No sunshine yet, but it's really cooled things off after a couple of hot nights. Garrett Jones, who's hitting .237, seen his playing time cut back with the addition of Justin Morneau. And with right-handers on the mound, primarily he's going to see his playing time in the outfield, not at first base.
Only 3 for 21 as a pinch hitter, so he's not really adapting to that role very well. And I think Clint Hurdle just wants to get him at bats to get back in that groove. He can be dangerous when he's right. As you mentioned, 4 lefties in the lineup today against Waka. He'll try to neutralize them with the changeup.
0-2. Knowing that Waka is on a pitch count, in the back of his mind, Rick, and you did this for a number of years, major league pitcher, clearly you always want to be efficient, but maybe a little extra in that direction because you know your day may be short.
Yeah, and it's dangerous to say too much on that subject to the starting pitcher that day. You just as soon let him just go out and pitch. If you want him, if you're only thinking about pitch count, especially in the first couple of innings, you're probably not thinking about the right thing. You just go hard and as long as you can.
Fly ball, left field, Holiday, 2 outs. And it brings in Andrew McCutchen. Good start here for Michael Waka. McCutchen, since late April, is hitting .344. Over 113 games in that time, so we're seeing a very hot hitter for quite an extended period. Overall, he's batting .322 and has 101 career home runs as a center fielder for Pittsburgh. And that is second on the club's all-time list behind former Cardinal and Pirate Andy Van Slyke.
Yadier Molina has an awful lot of responsibilities. One of them is to make sure everything's clean around home plate. Look at all that dirt he just didn't want in front of him. Want to make sure he got some true hops on any balls that hit in front of him, and Yadi paying attention to details.
Well, the grounds crew was out here, I would say 45 minutes ago, and you can see it all over the infield, that drying agent that they'll put out there. So that has piled up. You see the different colors and the dirt of the infield as McCutchen got a piece of it off the mask of Yadier Molina. 1 ball and 2 strikes. May have gotten away with that pitch right down the middle, but good velocity. Tough to catch up. Pitch number 11 of the inning. Yadi sets up outside, and it's a fastball at 97 from Michael Waka. And he has looked like he's throwing harder here in this first inning than we've seen.
That one at 96, very comfortable with the fastball. It's just going to make his changeup better.
Give that man a contract in the upper deck. What a play. Reaching over the railing and making the play barehanded. Nicely done. The 2-2 to McCutchen. Sharply hit, but positioned perfectly. It's Carpenter. Cardinals coming up in the bottom of the first. No score here in St. Louis. as St. Louis is looking for a sweep, and the Cardinals have hit very well in the first two games at a .324 clip and a couple of home runs. It's Carpenter, Jay, and Holiday, Beltran, Molina, and Freese, then Adams, Cosma, and Michael Walkup. Around the Horn, brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Bird, McCutcheon, and Jones in the outfield. Alvarez, Mercer on the left side. Walker, Morneau on the right side. John Buck, the former Met, is behind the plate. And maybe none better in this rotation over the last month and a half than Charlie Morton. Overall, his record is 7-3.
6-1 since the All-Star break. ERA under 3. He has not pitched well against the Cardinals. Very good curveball and a good sinker to back it up.
Take it a step further, his last 6 starts, 4-0, 1.74 ERA. So the third most wins since the break in the National League. And Carpenter singles up the middle, and with that, it's 99 hits here at home, and he is your new record holder for Busch Stadium 3, the most home hits. And that takes over the top spot from Albert Pujols.
And it is a sinker, and he goes down and gets it. Lines it up the middle. Just a hitting machine. Does so many things well. And when he gets on base, the Cardinals score. They're actually going to throw that baseball out.
Bye-bye, Albert. Hello, Matt Carpenter. Not quite hit number 3,000, but nonetheless, they'll throw that baseball out. And I'm sure we're going to see that over at Ballpark Village before you know it. Cardinals Museum. So congratulations to Matt. And here is John Jay.
And it's only September 8th.
It's going to shatter that mark. John Jay had 19 RBIs in the month of August. And on Friday night, 3 hits, 3 runs, 3 RBIs. He's hit close to 500 against Pittsburgh this year. Fights it off, and base hit center field. Carpenter being aggressive. He'll wind up at third. And Jay fights off a single, and it's runners at first and third and nobody down. Just muscled that out to center.
Good base running by Matt Carpenter. He's got to see whether or not the shortstop can catch that or not. And the ball just kind of dies in center field. Jay just continues to take that long lead off of first base and rounds it just in case the throw went to third, because no one was at first base. Nobody there to keep him honest.
And here is Holiday. Matt Holiday is now 10th in RBIs with 78. 18 home runs, 200 and plus hits when you go back to September of last year to September of this year. Be nice to see that in the full season in regular season play.
And if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates right now, what are you thinking?
Here we go again.
Here we go again. We've gotten beaten twice by this team that supposedly is not swinging the bat well. And their starting pitching's been poor, yet we couldn't hit the first 2 guys, and this guy's throwing 97. Two hits to start this game. Down and away. Very good sinker. Really good location. Carpenter hits him. So then he goes in, up and in. Perfect location again. And the Cardinals have picked up 2 hits on what were really 2 pretty good pitches.
1-0 pitch, and Holiday takes it low. Beltran on deck. You know, it's been common at times when Matt Holiday doesn't come through, people say, well, he's not clutch. Well, he has 13 game-winning RBIs this year, 10th in the league in RBIs. I think a lot of people want to look at the contract, biggest in franchise history, and with that comes pressure. And remember, the first year after he signed the deal in the offseason, got off to a terrible start, and he admitted he had put a lot of pressure on himself. And it just seemed like it was groundswell of support to say, well, this guy's not clutch. He can't live up to the contract. He has lived up to this contract for the most part.
Up in the top 10 and hitting with runners in scoring position this year. I think there's an element to Matt Holiday that is added to this, that he's a little bit hard to know. He's not the most talkative guy, and even around him in the clubhouse, he's I want to say shy, that may be an overstatement, but he's not a real talker. And so I think fans have had a hard time getting to know him really, and maybe more so this year than in years past. But I think that's added to it.
Bases loaded, and here steps Beltran with a chance to do some damage here in the first. A single by Carpenter, single by Jay, and a walk to Holiday. And here's Beltran, who is 7th in the league in home runs with 23. Bases loaded, nobody out. Carlos sitting on 357 career home runs. This is where he does his primary damage from. In the air, out to center. McCutchen over. Makes the catch. Runners tag up. 1-0 Cardinals. Beltran drives in RBI number 75.
Carlos, as he often does, jumping on the first pitch. Productive at bat. Our Plaza Tire Service replay, and John Jay showing good speed and good instinct, tagging up and making it to third. I think John Jay seems a little bit lighter on his feet. He seems more aggressive on the bases. We've seen him steal more bases of late. Almost as if he's had a bit of a resurgence.
And here is Molina. Yachty is hitting .323. 11 home runs, 64 RBIs. What really stands off the page at you in his stats, how about the 39 doubles? That's the most by a catcher in the National League since 2008, Brian McCann, and he's one shy of the club record held by Ted Simmons at 40. Yachty bounces it towards second, could be two. Walker steps on the bag. The throw isn't handled by Morneau, and a run scores. It's the little things you have to do as Jay scores, and it's 2-0 Cardinals.
Matt Holliday sent Brandon Phillips into left field in Cincinnati, and actually sent him out of the game with a thigh bruise. And he goes in pretty hard too on Neil Walker, upends him, throws in the dirt, and not handled by Morneau. And what a break for the Cardinals. A break that they forced, however.
Fielder's choice, RBI for Molina. He's now up to 65. Here's David Freese. Team scoring first has won 14 of the 18 meetings between these two teams.
Don't believe the Pirates have led in this series. They haven't. The Cardinals bounced out in front with 2 runs in the first inning on Friday night and picked up 3 more in the third. And the Cardinals, as we mentioned in the open, scoring in 4 different innings here last night. Offense has just been terrific.
Good things about David Freese too. One, the fly ball he turned on to hit down the left field line last night for an RBI, and then the other one, clearly the home run to center field, his second home run this week. Started to swing the bat very well.
And worth noting that both David Freese and Pete Kozma are in the lineup against a right-handed pitcher. We've not seen that in quite some time.
Good point. 2 outs and a runner at first. That's Molina. And here comes a 3-1 pitch to David Freese. Freese up the middle, base hit. 3 hits and a walk here in the first inning against Charlie Morton. And all 3 base hits have been taken up the middle. Extends the inning to Adams. This is a Pirates team that fundamentally has been very good this year. However, in this series, they have not played well.
They really haven't. They've been, I don't want to say tight, but things just haven't worked for them from the starting pitching point of view. Locke was okay here yesterday. not as good as we've seen him before. A.J. Burnett struggled in the early going. Their bullpen even imploded a little bit in game one of this series. They gave up a ton of runs late, and not the Pirate team certainly that we saw in Pittsburgh.
McCutchen had a key error on Friday night. Ball that got away and went to the wall.
Alvarez has been good at third, I will say.
Yes. Also, McCutchen threw to the wrong base twice in this series. And he's a very good defensive player, although he has 6 errors this season. The pitch in the dirt to Adams. Matt Adams at 262. 11 home runs. He's driven in 38.
I wonder if this Pirate team really misses Starling Marte.
He is available, but more so than anything, it's to run. Trouble swinging the bat with the injured wrist.
He really was igniting the offense. A lot of stolen bases at the top of the lineup. You know, you lose your leadoff hitter and your lineup changes.
Great speed, leads their team in steals, and then you couple that with McCutchen at 27 steals, so the element of speed is missing there. 2 of 7, first pitch strikes. Charlie Morton.
Everybody's got to deal with injuries, though. The Cardinals are without Allen Craig, the Pirates without Marte, the Braves without Hayward.
3-1, Pete Kozma on deck. It's not to say you'd like to walk the bases loaded, but for Charlie Morton, might not be the worst thing for him, and then deal with Pete Kozma. Adams hits it sharply to second. Walker stays down on it, and he makes the play. A hard hit ball. Cardinals strand 2. They pick up 3 hits and 2 runs after 1. First inning, and also a single. Mentioned it earlier, the 500+ average that he's put together against Pittsburgh. 3 steals, the BJC Healthcare difference maker, 5 RBIs, 3 of those coming the other night. John Jay back in the lineup today. Only 1 error this season for Jay. That's fouled back by Justin Morneau. Struck out twice last night. Playing in his 7th game with Pittsburgh. Hitting an even .300. No home runs, no RBIs.
And a fly ball lifted to left. Holiday, one away.
Good start for Michael Wacha, throwing a lot of strikes, showing the confidence that Mike Matheny wants his young pitchers to have. He said, you know, the minute I met Michael Wacha, what stood out to me in day one was his presence, and just seemed to be a confident young man, because that's what he is. He's just 21 years of age. And Mike was using the word arrogance for a moment to describe the young players, and he said, no, that's really not the right word. And he backed off that and said, I just want them to be confident. I don't want them to be hesitant at all about pitching in September in a pennant race.
Wacha, during spring training, we know about the exceptional changeup, lively fastball, but really working on the breaking pitch, and was singled out by Adam Wainwright. Work on his release point. Sometimes he would cup it, if that would make sense in describing it, with his wrist, and then give that away, but also reaching out fully, an extension with the arm for the breaking ball. Ground ball hit sharply to third. Freeze is there. That's 3 hard hit balls in a row, but the Cardinals have been positioned perfectly. Good to see Adam Wainwright doing what Adam Wainwright does most of the time, which is win. And he was back on track last night.
Always playful in the dugout, but always businesslike between the lines.
No side session, by the way, for Wainwright prior to his start last night. Did not throw a bullpen, but did long toss and talked about trying to find the right arm angle and slot. Here's Alvarez. And he said, why would I go to the bullpen and keep doing the things that I'm doing when it's not right? And so all of a sudden you have muscle memory and you're basically repeating bad habits. Makes a lot of sense. Sounds like every golfer out there.
Well, people understand that. If you're on the wrong plane golfing and you keep hitting it, all you're doing is reinforcing the bad swing. And so getting some teaching every once in a while is not a bad idea. And what long toss does, and one of the reasons I love long toss, it builds arm strength, number one. But for young kids that are wanting to throw harder or be a better pitcher, it's the thing you think of last. But long toss builds arm strength, but it's also a very natural throwing motion. You really have to have everything right to throw it long, and I think it becomes a positive way to get better. Michael Wacha is really good so far.
Day presented by Creve Court Camera. Fans will be allowed to go on the field before the game. You'll get up close photos of the players, coaches, even Fred Bird. field access on a first-come, first basis. So arrive early, take your photos. Cardinals have Pete Kozma here in the home half of the second, the 8th place hitter in this lineup. Then Michael Wacha and Matt Carpenter. I remember photo day with Mark McGwire. I remember a few photo days with Albert Pujols. And when nightfall hits, it's like a light show. How about that? Pete Kozma into left center. Thinking 2 out of the box and in there sliding with a double. And all his teammates up applauding Pete Kozma. They know what he's been through. It's been a tough run.
He's handled it so well, too. He is not a guy that kind of gets down or starts to affect other people. He's very kind of even keel, but you know deep down inside he has to have some level of frustration that most can't really even relate to. But our Hyundai replay, he was right on that pitch and he drives it. Way to go, Pete Kozma.
Sacrificed the first of his big league career as Kozma was aggressive at third, and then with his speed may have thought about going home, but Michael Wacha does the job. His first sacrifice. Well, from baseball fan favorites to one of the greatest that ever laced him up, Brett Hall returns tomorrow at 6 live from Scott Trade Center. And we'll have that for you. There's no baseball game tomorrow, so why not talk a little hockey? The Golden Brett, number 16. Hall of Famers return being announced at 6:16 promptly. You'll hear from Hall, Blues owner Tom Stillman, and others tomorrow night at 6 o'clock on your home of the Blues, Fox Sports Midwest. I think that is awesome to see him back. Great news. It's where he belongs. Never seemed right when he was wearing the Dallas Stars uniform. Didn't seem right when he was wearing the Detroit Red Wings uniform. And that sweater certainly didn't seem right when he was in Phoenix, which was short-lived playing for Wayne Gretzky. But the blue note seemed right.
Talking football, we're talking hockey, we're talking playoff baseball, September baseball. I love it. Sports fans love this time of year.
Carpenter, good rip. And there's many that believe that down the street, Clark Street, Savas Center would not be in existence without number 16. He energized this city for hockey, and his personality to boot. And what a personality it is. One ball, one strike, one out, runner at third. Good breaking ball. Runner has scored 16 out of 23 times for Matt Carpenter. He's part of this group that has just been so dominant with runners in scoring position. Carpenter is third in the league at 392. Looking for hit number 100 here at home.
Surprised that the MLB average is just 50% of the time where you actually get the runner in from third, and there's multiple ways to do it. Long fly ball, certainly one of the ways. Base hit of any kind, but with a drawn in infield, it just increases your chances of being good at situational hitting. And Carpenter at 70%, quite a bit better than the league average.
Infield in, another 1-2 pitch. Carpenter still alive on the check swing. Talk about Matt Carpenter being an MVP candidate. Yadier Molina will be in that conversation, certainly. Yadi now up to 974 innings caught, which leads the National League. This is what makes him such a good leadoff man. pitch after pitch.
Very good with 2 strikes, very good knowledge of the zone. And there was a time in the season where I thought Matt Carpenter was getting run down a bit. Maybe 3 weeks ago, just kind of felt like he was just a little slow and a little tired looking, and he's certainly gotten his energy back. He sat a couple of games, and there's an off day or 2 in there on a road trip, and it just seems to be right again.
In the dirt and blocked nicely by Buck. And he's old school. Got the eye black, no batting gloves. Looked like the right eye didn't quite get the full extension with the index finger to place the eye black. About halfway through and said, the heck with it. Let's go play ball. 3-2. To follow up your point on guys being worn down, I talked to John Mozeliak about that, and he said he felt a few of the All-Stars that the Cardinals had gotten worn down because of the All-Star game. And he said, hey, it's a great problem to have, but it's a situation where the rest of the guys are catching up in a way. Rest, our guys did not. As Carpenter pulls it foul, and I think he was specifically talking about Matt Carpenter.
Pirates might say that about Jeff Locke, going through the experience in the All-Star game. That's what players want to be in. It's a pretty great honor, and you're representing your league and playing for something, because of course we know it counts now and it's counted for many years. But the point is it's become really a 3-day extravaganza, as opposed to you just fly out, play a game, and come back. And so the normal rest that players get a chance to regroup, they don't get it.
What an at bat. Pitch number 10 for Carpenter in the AB, and he's on his way to second. And he's diving in safely. Pounds the ground. 3-0 Cardinals. RBI double for Matt Carpenter. It's another multi-hit game.
Not a bad throw by the left fielder Bird, right on the money, but there's Carpenter sliding to the inside part of the bag. And just barely beats the tag, and very good instinct. That's one of those, you've got to make that decision, and might be right, might be wrong, but I like the aggressiveness.
I think that play, that at bat, sums up Matt Carpenter perfectly. 10-pitch at bat, hustling out of the box, taking nothing for granted, diving in head first, dirt on the uniform, and oh, by the way, it's another multi-hit game. That sums him up. He is now up to 56 multi-hit games. He has also scored a run earlier. That was in the first. He's now up to 111 in that category. One out and a runner at second base. And Jay hits it foul. Cardinals doing the little things in this series. Cosma double to start the inning. Sacrificed by Waka. And Matt Carpenter brings him in.
Sacrifice fly in the first inning. Situational hitting there. Taking the runner out at second base. Matt Hull. I mean, everything done well for the Cardinals so far.
And that is a base hit, just fair down the left field line. Jay on his way to second. Changing spots with Carpenter. The Birds are rolling this weekend. And they're back.
Oh, I can't believe
they're back.
They're here.
Yes.
Our friends from yesterday. And she's still rubbing it in.
Oh, yeah. How do you like that one, huh?
I love it.
I like that he doesn't even look up anymore. I'm just going to keep score.
That is
hilarious.
Oh, boy. Another double. She's cheering. He is despondent. He's kept a pretty good attitude about it.
For those that didn't watch the game last night,
shame on you.
We had a shot of those two, and she was just giving it to him. After every run that would score, she was making sure he knew about it.
Now she's telling everybody else. He seems kind of lonely.
Very much so. It's a lonely feeling when you come in with the black and gold of Pittsburgh, and the Pirates have had their struggles in this series. As Holiday is nearly hit by the pitch.
Morton's been pitching very well for 3 months, but he comes into St. Louis and he knows he's facing a team that he can't pitch well against. Almost the reverse of what Jake Westbrook sometimes feels when he's on a roll and he faces the Pirates, because that is a team he does not pitch well against.
The Cardinals with 3 doubles today, all in this inning. That has been a constant theme of this season, and really a constant theme of this weekend. Cardinals have hit a ton of doubles. Here's a 1-1. And Holiday hits a fly ball out to deep right. It'll stay in the ballpark as the catch is made by Garrett Jones. Jay tagging up to third.
Holiday did not miss that by much.
Beltran came up with the bases loaded, nobody out, and hit a line shot to center field, caught by McCutchen, allowing Carpenter to tag up and score the first run. 1-3 his career here at Busch Stadium, ERA close to 7. Good pitch. Strike 2 on Beltran. It's the kind of weekend series that would break up a relationship.
I wonder if they went to the games at Pittsburgh. Could be payback.
I haven't seen him talking much, if at all. If only I could have that kind of relationship.
Where you weren't talking? Yeah. We can only hope.
Ball gets away. A run will score on the walk. Taken by Beltran. A wild pitch. John Jay scoring, and it's 5-0.
Again, the Cardinals doing everything right fundamentally. Long fly ball to right field by Matt Holliday. Jay, when he sees that it's going to be caught, goes back and tags up. So what, you may say? What's the difference between being on third base or second base? Here's the difference. Wild pitch. Beltran on a walk. Jay allowed to score. 5-0 St. Louis, and they are doing everything right first couple of innings.
So 6 hits. 3 of the 6 have been doubles.
There may be something wrong with Charlie Morton. During the visit with Ray Searage, he's actually calling out the trainer, and Clint Hurdle on that last delivery may have heard something, and it's already a visit, but now it becomes a medical visit as well. It has something to do with the landing.
Yeah, he keeps putting weight, it looks like, on the front foot maybe. And we talked about how this is a surface that's been worked on an awful lot because of the rain earlier this morning. And we'll have more on that with Jim Hayes momentarily.
And it looks like they may want the tall right-hander. Ray Sears calling to the bullpen. Jared Hughes, right-hander, might be the one he wants, and Mr. Morton's done.
Cardinals on top, 5-0. It's our Chevy called to the pen, and Stolme is in.
Never met a Stolme before. And actually never seen one pitch before. He came over in the trade with Mark Melancon from the Boston Red Sox, and he inherits a 5-0 deficit, and we'll have to wait for the report on Charlie Morton to see what happened with him, and you only can guess it had something to do with the landing here. It's been raining off and on throughout the day here in St. Louis, and maybe something about his footing, but Pimentel will be given all the time he needs to get loose.
It was a Stolme morning.
Oh, I get it.
It's awful.
Yes, it is.
Philbin and a cast of characters, former athletes, journalists, they'll all stop by and talk about sports. It's Crowd Goes Wild, weekdays at 4, and you'll see it on Fox Sports 1. Give Pimentel all the time that he needs to get loose.
And he's taken it. Not a good outing for Charlie Morton. We mentioned how good he's been since the All-Star break, but an inning and 2/3, 6 hits, 2 walks, and when it rains, it pours for Morton, who also gets injured somehow and has had to leave the game.
9 right-handers at Clint Hurdle's disposal. He's got 3 lefties. And here is Yadier Molina. The Pirates will fly out after this game, head to Texas, wrap up their interleague portion of their schedule. Very tough series for them. They're going to face Yu Darvish and Matt Garza in those 3 games. 2 outs and a runner at first. Molina with an RBI his first time up, fielder's choice. I brought up the innings caught for Yadi earlier. It's at 974 to lead the National League, even though he did spend time on the DL. You wonder if you bust this game open, you know, at what point do you think about maybe getting a 2-for-1, so to speak, with the off day tomorrow? He is too valuable not to be in the lineup almost every day. I'm sure the Cardinals are keeping a very close eye on the knee and doing everything they can to keep him in the lineup. He means so much to this team behind the plate.
I'm sure Mike would like to do that, but he's also somewhere in the back of his mind remembering Friday night when the Cardinals did bust the game wide open, but it got unbusted late in the game. 7 late Pirate runs. This team can erupt as well, so plenty of baseball ahead here this afternoon.
Home run, Waino's outing, or 9 hits in a row that we saw Friday night in the 7th inning. That's a look at the AT&T Twitter poll. I think Yadi's home run was about as good as it gets after being knocked down, and then a couple pitches later takes one out of the ballpark.
Knocked down accidentally, I think we would all agree.
But knocked down nonetheless.
Or knocked down nonetheless, McLaughlin is right. And he certainly responded. And I think the crowd probably didn't have a good feel at the time for what the pitch was that was thrown by the pitcher and thought it might have been on purpose. But the crowd certainly erupted when Yadi went deep, and very good moment. I like David Freese's home run because I think it could be a sign that David is becoming the big game player that Mike Matheny said he was before the game today. He said David is a guy we can count on when the games are big.
He's proven that.
Sure has.
Fastball and a strike at 93 from walk-up. Charlie Morton, by the way, inning in 2/3, 6 hits, no strikeouts, walked 2, and 5 runs. It's Buck, Mercer, and then Pimentel. Just a bit low. John Buck is 6 for 12 since coming over from New York, and a fly ball lifted into right. The catch is made by Beltran. And it brings in Mercer's hitting .270, 6 home runs, 23 RBIs, splitting time with Clint Barmas. Barmas known more for his glove. Mercer's really hit well. .288 since the break, but just 4 hits in his last 25 at bats. Fly ball again on the run. Beltran is over, and that's a fair ball. Ground rule double. I believe the gentleman in the stands that made the play there, the ground rule double, also had some pretty important merchandise in his arms. Let's take a look here.
Just barely fair, and the gentleman catches it with the left hand and doesn't drop what's in his right. Boy, that would have been bad. And she's got a new toy.
Here's Pimentel. One ball, 1 strike. The bio there on Pimentel, the rookie. Over walk-up and making the play, Pete Kozma. I know many fans have been asking for it. I want to find out all about this couple, the Pirates and the Cardinals, well represented. Jim, take it away.
Yeah, this is Patrick and Kate. They've been dating for 4 years, and I think what viewers want to know is, will your relationship survive this series between the Cardinals and Pirates?
Well, I'm happy this weekend, so probably.
I would imagine it will.
You haven't been doing a lot of talking, I noticed.
No, not much to root for her.
She's gloating a little bit.
She is gloating right now. This is what I deal with.
You guys have a long-distance relationship, born in Pittsburgh, but you live in Chicago, and you're from St. Louis, right?
Yep. I still live here today.
And how have you been able to get through this rivalry?
It hasn't really been much of an issue until 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are going to be okay.
Oh, we'll be okay.
We'll make it through.
We'll be okay.
And our play-by-play guy, Dan McLaughlin, really likes the old-school cap you're sporting.
I love it.
You're an old-school guy.
Got it at PNC Park.
I hate this hat.
She hates
this hat. Is my least
This is
favorite
the bane of her existence.
Well, you guys are going to be okay.
I think so.
Dan, Rick, they're going to be okay. That's the bottom line. They're fine.
As long as the Pirates do all right.
They're not going to.
They won't.
They're not going to be okay then.
Let's get that one-game playoff. That's the best case scenario.
Jim Hayes has turned into Chuck Woolery down there.
I think he's doing a little relationship counseling.
It's awesome. We'll be back at 2-2.
Dr. Phil. tell us about your relationship. That's awesome.
See, I love Jim in the stands. That's when he's at his best. Because you will not outwit Jim Hayes. It won't happen.
How about, I love this hat, I hate that hat? Anybody that's married has been through that little scenario before.
There's so many things I want to say, but I can't. So I'll just stick with baseball. Although, if he would go with a cheesy mustache, we would have the second coming of John Candelaria. I do believe that.
By the way, John Candelaria was nasty.
He was nasty.
He could flat out pitch.
Good job by Jim Hayes.
Very nice.
Here's a 2-2. And we'll be back in 2-2. You can see every out-of-market game live online, available on over 350 supported mobile devices. MLB.tv. Baseball is everywhere. David Freese will lead things off. I think a byproduct of the addition, Rick, of Colton Wong has been the fact that Freese has had to sit. And in sitting, as you know, being a professional athlete, sometimes it's not the worst thing to sit back, recharge the batteries physically, and take a mental break too.
Mike Matheny was saying before the game that David Freese did not want to sit. They had to make him do it, and he said, I think it was what's best for him. And what he was seeing with David is not so much the swing, which we focus on, but he really felt like he was struggling defensively to get a step either to his left or his right. He was just not right, and he just wasn't see. Well, for whatever reason, kind of pressed to give an answer, whether it was physical or exhaustion or tired or what it was, but he said it just wasn't right. But I think the rest has done him good, and he's starting to turn on the ball again.
That's what I've noticed, how much he's turning on the ball.
And I think we talked, maybe, I don't want to say too much, but I think there's been too much thought about David Freese going the other way, which I think is part of his game. But occasionally you have to be able to turn on the ball too. And if you can't do that, then pitchers are going to eat you up inside. They just are. And David's shown a much better and quicker bat on that pitch on the inner half.
Outfield is deep for Matt Adams. Grounded out sharply to second with 2 runners on, first time up.
You mentioned John Candelaria last inning. I had a thought of him in Pittsburgh in front of a crowd of about 2,500 people. And Tommy Herr went in hard at second base and took out their middle infielder. And when he came up the next time, John Candelaria stepped off the mound and yelled so everybody in the park could hear, "Hey, Herr, I'm going to hit you in the back." And he did. And he didn't get tossed for it. And Tom just
Could you imagine if that happened today?
I mean, he yelled. Everybody in the park could hear it. It was loud as can be.
And
nobody there.
Even before he said it, Tommy Herr knew it was coming, I'm assuming. But that's the difference in the game, where players then and before you policed it in many ways, and sometimes now with the umpires, with the warnings like we had the other night, it didn't look like intentional hit by pitches the other night, and yet it's in the umpire's hands once those warnings are issued.
And I'm not necessarily extolling the virtues of that moment and saying that's what we should return to, but it really was a comical moment because nobody said anything. It just kind of went on and happened, and even Tom Hurt was, I mean, it was funny to everybody but him because he had a bruise on his back, but
he was ho-hum about it. No big deal.
Exactly.
3-2 here on Matt Adams. And Adams hits it the other way. Little flare out to shallow left. And the catch is made by Marlon Byrd. 2 down. Pete Kozma has doubled and scored back in the second.
So both Kozma and Freese taking advantage of the opportunity to get a start against a right-handed pitcher. David had a base hit in that first inning, hit it hard. Good at bat here in the third, didn't get a hit for it. Kozma with that leadoff double in the second.
And Pete on Friday night, Cardinals had the 9 consecutive hits to start the 7th. Laid down a bunt for a sacrifice situation, beat it out, and that's how he got off the skid of 0 for 33. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Cardinals will welcome the Brewers to town Tuesday night. It's an open date tomorrow, and the feeling around the ballpark is that the Cardinals need a day off. I mean, things are going well, they're playing well, but it's tomorrow and then 1 more day off, and that's it before the end of the season. Shelby Miller will get the start Tuesday night. Willie Peralta, 9-14, will go for Milwaukee. Cardinals will not see Kyle Loesch in that series. And I would think that would be a motivated Kyle Loesch trying to knock off St. Louis. Peralta, Marco Estrada, and Tyler Thornburg. Cardinals counter with Miller, Lance Lynn, big start for him, and then Joe Kelly. Lance Lynn may be pitching for his spot in the rotation.
I think there's been enough comments from John Mozeliak that he's on a bit of a short leash. And, you know, there's a big upside to Lance Lynn. Everybody's known it. We've seen it. But still got to keep earning it. It's just the way the game is. And when there's other options that are better options, they certainly would consider it. But certainly an opportunity for him to just show he deserves to be there.
Mo has said this a lot. He said as tough as some of the decisions you have to make are, because it's personalities and relationships and friendships, he said bottom line, take emotion out of it if you can, but this is a results driven business.
Red Shandy says it best to me when he talks about players in spring training and making cuts, and he goes, well, I don't ever have to make cuts, or never had to make cuts. Players eliminate themselves.
A lot of truth to that too.
No question.
Cardinals have received 3 walks, and here is Michael Wacha, so at least St. Louis gets him through this order in the lineup. He sacrificed first time up, and he is 1 for 13 in his big league career. He picked up a single against Kansas City in his first ever plate appearance.
Kershaw, Homer Bailey going at it tonight. Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds begin play game and a half out. Very tight race. Pirates a half a game out. Reds have won 3 straight. And the competitiveness of the National League Central, Dan, I think something to look for as we get through the last 3 weeks of the season is, will the competition of the Central Division drive teams to win nightly, not throw any games away, and all of a sudden you find yourself maybe with a home field advantage from this division. That's not the way it is now. But the Cardinals coming into play today are only a game and a half behind the Dodgers in home field advantage and 3.5 behind Atlanta. So it's tightening up a bit.
1-2 the count. 2 outs. Runner at first. And a strikeout of Walkup. For Pimentel, his second of the afternoon. 5-0 St. Louis as we move to the fourth. Here at Busch Stadium, Southeast Missouri State, the Red Hawks, and Southern Illinois, the Salukis, playing the Busch Stadium College Classic, presented by Southeast Health on Saturday, September 21st. And get your tickets at cardinals.com/football. After that afternoon, Billy Finley and his crew will be busy replacing the turf here at Busch Stadium and getting it ready for what we hope is postseason play.
Well, the postseason play possibility just keeps getting stronger and stronger, really, for all three teams in the Central Division. Arizona and Washington are the two teams that have had an outside chance, and they're just not making a move. They're both playing about 500 their last 10 games, and Arizona and Washington both 8 games out in the wild card. They'd almost have to win out last 20 games, 18-2, something like that. I mean, hard to accomplish that.
0-2 on Garrett Jones. You know, the Cardinals, it's not only about winning the division, but there's still a shot of having that best overall record. And so you talk about home field advantage. LA is the team that you're catching. Atlanta's right there, but obviously major push here for the Cardinals with all these home games they have coming up against sub 500 teams. You know, it's not far-fetched to say that the Cardinals couldn't finish this thing as the #1 team out of the National League. One and two the count. Jones has flied to left. McCutchen on deck, and then Justin Morneau. Two and two. Breaking ball, and that's fouled back. Jim Hayes is with us, Dan McLaughlin, Rick Horton, and our Fox Sports Midwest crew. Glad you're with us. Wonderful to see some of this crowd start to dwindle as we approach 3 o'clock, and maybe some of the folks head over to the Edward Jones Dome for Rams football today. Not a bad way to spend your day. Come and catch a little baseball and head over to the season opener for the St. Louis Rams. And the 3-2 is skied into center field. John Jay. One away. The final stretch and the race in the NL Central. What stands out for you on these remaining schedules, Rick?
Well, the fact that the Cardinals have so many games at home, we talked about that. That's a huge plus. The Reds and the Pirates have to play each other, which is another fact to throw into this. And the opponent's winning percentage of the teams that the Pirates have to play, including the Reds, is .512. And so the strength of schedule tough for the Pirates. And I think this team's just in a bit of a lull right now. The Pirates, they're still going to be tough. Their pitching's too good. Their bullpen's too good.
Mentioned it before. They'll head to Texas. They'll face Yu Darvish and Matt Garza in that series. Texas, a game and a half back of Oakland, the American League West, so big games for them too. That'll feel like a playoff type series for both those teams. The 2-1 inside to McCutchen. Keep an eye on the pitch count for Michael Wacha. Remember, 80 pitches his last start. He's at 51. McCutchen hit a screamer to Matt Carpenter first time up, and he draws the first walk issued by Wacha today. Life is tough at Bacon. The bacon and cheese quarter pounder is topped with thick cut Applewood smoked bacon, melty American cheese, crinkle cut pickles, and crisp red onion. Only at McDonald's. One out walk, and here is Justin Morneau lined out to left. A reason that you love Yadier Molina, not just what he does with the bat, but just look at the pitcher's ERA when he's in there and when he's not. And I don't think it should be overlooked. All the young rookies and pitchers the Cardinals have, they've got the veteran back there in Molina. This could be 2. Out there and on to first. The tag applied by Adams. It's a double play for 6-3. 6-3 double play started by Carpenter. Look how far away he is from the bag here. Do you throw it sidearm and then shift your hips open towards second base, or the shovel pass? He went with the shovel. That's a long way to do it.
Long way from second base. But he does what you're supposed to do. He keeps his body moving towards the second base bag. That makes it feel a little bit closer. And I would say from that distance, most second basemen might just kind of do that little short little pivot and then throw, where you actually drop to one knee and turn your body and make the quick throw. But no problem turning that double play. The Cardinals have done it 161 times this year to lead the National League.
Well, we'll have the Brett Hall announcement tomorrow, and Blues training camp opens on Thursday. That'll be at Scottrade Center. We'll be there, see all the players, coaches, get ready for Blues hockey. StLouisBlues.com for the full schedule. And we hope to see you there this Thursday. Again, on the air tomorrow at 6 with the announcement that Brett Hall is returning to St. Louis in the front office. And then the training camp opening on Thursday. Good luck to the Blues and Mr. Stillman. From the Blues to the Red in the stands. Another packed house here today. We brought up that play by Carpenter. He was telling me the other day that that is one of the toughest plays for him, to where it's not a mental thing to think about what to do, but it becomes reactionary. And he worked on that play time and again. The shovel pass, do you underhand it? Like you said, go to one knee and open up the hips towards second. But I guess when you get to spring training every day at 5:30, you got plenty of time to work on it. And that's what he did.
Baseball is certainly a sport where work pays off. A lot of work that happens before the game, spring training, off season, bears fruit once it's game time.
Third strikeout for Pimentel. He's in relief of Charlie Morton, who left the ball game with a sore left foot, his plant foot. And he only lasted 1 2/3, 6 hits, no strikeouts, 5 runs, a pair of walks. Pimentel came in second inning with 2 outs and 1 on, and has been in the game ever since. Here's John Jay, who's 2 for 2. Slowly hit to the right side. Walker is there, 2 down. With 2 outs, it'll be Matt Holliday. Rick, when you played, you know, guys after the game would sit around and talk about the game.
Yes.
You know, it was something that was kind of handed down from generation to generation of baseball players. Not to say that it's not done now, but majority of the time is spent, instead of talking with each other, they may talk to each other, but it's done in the weight room. I mean, guys after the game are lifting weights an awful lot.
A lot more responsibility for these guys in post-game interviews than 20 years ago, 30 years ago. At the time, you might have 40, 50 of your games televised, not every game. So you would have the written press, of course, it was there following every game, but less things to do after the game. So there was much more of just kind of sitting around talking about the details of the game. And Tommy Herr mentioned his name already. He used to kind of lead a conversation at the end of every game. What do we do right? What do we do wrong? What do we need to do to get better? And it was a very informal, but very helpful in learning the game. And nobody seemed to be in a rush to get home, and I don't think these players are either. But they're also here so much earlier. The average player gets here, you say 5 hours before the game, Dan?
Yeah, maybe, I was going to say 2 o'clock. So
that.
yeah,
5.5 hours. And there were times where the report time for us would be 2.5 hours before the game.
Mike Matheny did something I had not seen done before in spring training. There was an off day, and he actually literally locked the doors to the clubhouse and said, I don't care, even if you have treatment, you are not to go in the clubhouse. You can go to see the trainers and get your treatment, but then you got to go back home or go fishing or take your kids out on the beach, whatever you're going to do. But you're not to be here at the ballpark. And he was serious about it.
I'm sure there are employers in our viewing audience that are saying, how do I get my employees, how do I get to the point where I'm actually kicking them out instead of dragging them in? That's a nice problem to have, but it is a problem because you can wear yourself out mentally, maybe even more so than physically in this game.
Morneau is out of room. One and two the count. Now another aspect of the game that has changed quite considerably is the money. That's part of it.
No doubt.
You talked about it last night, just keeping yourself in shape and how important that is. As Holiday hits it sharply to short. What a play here by Mercer. Fires to first. Well done, Jordy Mercer. Outstanding play at shortstop. Great promotions for the kids, 48 inches and under. You'll receive a free Six Flags ticket. Also, it's an ice cream sundae. Get here early before the game. You'll have free ice cream. And then after the game, kids can run the bases. My son was already asking me about it.
You going to run with him?
He'd beat me. I don't know if that's saying a lot, but he would. But he is only 8. Here's Marlon Byrd. Rick, he doesn't miss a game. He'll go to bed and wake up the next morning and it's on MLB Network. And today we were talking and he said, Dad, I think I want to run the bases. And I had forgotten that next week was a run the bases day. And he said, you know, there's also a Six Flags day and there's ice cream that day. And I'm not kidding you.
Hey, Brad Thompson will be out there signing autographs, Dad.
He's going to know the Budweiser bash. He's going to know what's going on next Saturday, the next fireworks night. He's got it all.
That's an informed Cardinal fan.
He is. Loves his Cardinals. 2-1 pitch to Byrd.
That's one of the things that you and I come in contact with as the year goes on, and we meet fans in a variety of places, that you realize that there are fans that are at their first game, and there are fans of baseball first, Cardinals second. Then there are people who are Cardinal fans that don't really necessarily even like baseball, but they love the fact that it's their Cardinals. And then there's fans of the teams of the 60s, and then there's numbers fans, and there's 8-year-old boys that that just know every single thing about every player on this team. It's just incredible, the breadth of what the Cardinal. There is really no average Cardinal fan. They're so different.
Walk to Bird. And the second one issued by Michael Wacha. Leadoff walk here in the top of the 5th. The Cardinals, Fox Sports, State of Missouri, teaming up to help you stop smoking. For more information, call the Quit line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
Cardinals started something yesterday, Baseball 101, and they invited about 40 to 50 women to the ballpark that had very limited background in baseball, but they were still wanting to be Cardinal fans. And Jason Mott and his wife Caitlin and Michael Gersh and I had a presentation about just some of the basic things about baseball, and it was really an interesting kind of Q&A time of kind of what really goes on and what's the life like and what are some things to watch for when you're watching the game, and kind of on a basic level. It's just really a fun conversation.
You're mine, and it's 2-0 here on Alvarez. What's the most misunderstood aspect of the game? What were the questions you were getting?
Well, I think there's a couple of questions about why pitchers get taken out when they get taken out. I think that becomes from a managerial side the thing that stands out the most. Of how long do you go with Michael Wacha if you're Mike Matheny? What are some of the factors in it? And Michael Gersh had a lot to say about that, the assistant GM, of course, and there are so many factors of did he pitch the day before and who's actually even available, and who are we playing in the next series, who do we need to save, so many things, because when you watch the baseball game that day, there's not the full context necessarily of what's going on in the global sense. What happened yesterday, the day before. Most fans don't watch every game. So it's confusing as to why Michael Wacha may be taken out when he's pitching one.
Alvarez skies it to center. Jay will make the catch. Got himself in a position to throw. Fell behind 3-0 on Alvarez. And good to see Jay go back, find a spot, then the momentum coming forward to make this throw.
Still moving better, isn't he? I mean,
yes.
Everything he's doing just seems to be a little quicker. And a good throw from Jay. I think another thing that's misunderstood that we got into sometime when you're talking about a Shelby Miller, Carlos Martinez, Michael Wacha. Yeah, they're men, but he's 21 years old. Right. Think about your neighbor or your nephew or your cousin who's 21 and thrust into this kind of situation. They've still got some maturity to go through.
How old were you when you were called up?
23.
23.
Actually, I was 24.
I did my first major league game at the age of 23, and I can only imagine what it was like to play at the age of 23. I know how nervous I was.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't help that Jack Buck was laughing at me and pointing at me as I was getting ready to start the broadcast. But that is an aspect that is overlooked, how young these guys are. And while Michael Wacha should be enjoying potentially a Sunday afternoon at College Station at Texas A&M, he's out here pitching in a pennant race.
That's what all of his friends are doing.
Right.
His contemporaries.
There are things, too, that this generation of players, and you alluded to it earlier, they have to deal with. And part of it is the nightly highlight shows, the interviews, the electronic media has exploded. And that way, it is a much different game. He's falling behind here on Buck.
And on the positive side, obviously, they've also, in some sense, won the lottery, too. I mean, he's 21, but he's also got a lot of money, a lot of attention, a lot of doing the job he loves. I mean, so there's a lot of positives to it, but not everybody in the world handles success well. And these guys are forced to do that and need to do it. or they won't stay around very long. That's where the character and the makeup come in.
Well, and you know, we're talking about some of the things that have changed, but you're exactly right. They are well compensated. It's a life that you dream about as a little boy if you play the game of baseball. I still get a thrill coming to the ballpark every day. I love it. I know most of the players feel that way too. 3-2. They didn't start the runner. It's another double play. 6-4-3. They turn to double play to end the fourth, and that's what they do here in the fifth. People in America each and every year through pantries, soup kitchens, and shelters. Visit feedingamerica.org/Fox Sports, and you can learn how you can fight hunger in your community. Together, we're feeding America. Carlos Beltran will lead it off for the Cardinals. And how about the job of Michael Wacha so far, Rick Horton? Just one hit allowed.
Making it look easy, isn't he? And
yeah.
Really not a lot of balls hit hard, and he's just been throwing a lot of strikes.
What's on Tap is brought to you by Budweiser. From one young starting pitcher to another, Shelby Miller hits the call against Milwaukee. Budweiser, What's on Tap, and will come your way 6:30 on Tuesday night. Shelby Miller, Willie Peralta, and Shelby 2-0 this season against the Brewers. Here's Beltran, who has walked and also sac fly RBI. Start thinking about that postseason roster and potential rotation. And Shelby has an ERA that's under 2 here at home as Beltran yanks it down the right field line, and that ball is fair. On his way to second, he better hurry up. Diving in head first is Beltran.
Fourth double of the afternoon for the Redbirds. Beltran's first hit after a walk and a sacrifice fly. Middle of the location, and just fair the outcome.
His status this offseason will be front and center for the Cardinals. What to do with Carlos Beltran. He's played a ton down the stretch and has stayed healthy. Here's Molina. Yadi has struck out. He was the first man that Pimentel faced with a runner on back in the second inning after the injury, left foot injury to Charlie Morton. And Yadi is 0 for 2, but does have an RBI. And his total is up to 65. Pimentel, by the way, has struck out 3. Trying to go the other way and advance the runner, if not drive him in.
Talking about postseason, the pennant race in the National League is fun, certainly in the Central Division. American League is going to be interesting over the next 3 weeks because of the wild card race. There's really 6 teams that are still in it, including Kansas City Royals.
A little flare down the right field line, and this one is foul by about a foot. The American League East, Boston is going to get into postseason play. They have done a remarkable job of remaking that roster in 1 year. The deal with the Dodgers paid off for both franchises. Boston cleared payroll, and the Dodgers picked up some players that have played vital roles on their team. Most notable in that list of players was Gonzalez, very good first baseman, but still in the East, Tampa Bay, Baltimore, New York, all alive.
Boston, the best record in baseball. The Braves, the second best, and the Cardinals, Tigers, and Oakland A's all with the third best with identical records. But in that division, you have Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Yankees, as you mentioned, all within 3 games of the wild card. And then in the other divisions, you have Cleveland, Kansas City, all within 4 games of the leader.
The 2-2. Molina throws the bat at it, and he strikes out. Strikeout number 4 for Pimentel. He's done a very good job since coming in from the pen.
Got a good live arm.
Freese has a single up the middle and is also flied out to left. One out runner at second, and Freese looks at strike 1. David now is hit safely, including today, in 11 of the last 18 games.
Pimentel is giving his team a chance to win in relief of Charlie Morton, who left with left foot discomfort after just an inning and 2/3, and didn't look like it was going to get any better for Morton anyway. Really had a rough start to this game for Clint Hurdle. And the value for any manager in September, you have so many choices out in your bullpen. You start managing games like they're postseason games. But September baseball is an awful lot like spring training in some ways. You're going to use your chess pieces because you've got them. And that's a delicate balance for a manager. How many players do you use? When do you use them? Do you double switch every single time you have an opportunity?
3-2. So your first game was with Jack Buck too, huh?
Yes, it was. Nerve-wracking.
Nothing like it.
Nothing like working with the best. First time you get a chance to do a game.
You played for the Dodgers, so you were around Vince Scully too.
Oh yeah.
A 3-2 pitch to Freeze. Trying to bust him inside, and it's fouled back. I am one of the thousands that is on MLB.tv, and after our games, many times I'll go home and catch the Dodgers on my iPad, and Vince Scully, the same every night. Still as good as he always has been. Three-two pitch. And Freeze hits a liner into left field. Beltran will score, and David Freeze drives in another one. He's 2 for 3 on the day. RBI number 54 for the Cardinal third baseman and a hometown favorite.
And what did he do again? Pull the baseball. Fastball in, quick hands. Right on the inside corner. Good at bat for David Freeze.
Rick, that's the at bat. You talk about quick hands. He was not getting around on some of those pitches he fouled off that were in on his hands prior to the single to left. Nicely done, David Freeze. StubHub.com, and when you do that, you'll earn fan rewards. It's StubHub. Ben Bizarro is into the ball game, and he'll continue to warm up while we have a moment. The head-to-head matchup, which is going to be won by Pittsburgh this year. But things have changed an awful lot this weekend, haven't they?
Cardinals have played much better here. They've swung the bat better, pitched better. We've seen some good defense from the Cardinals too, really all facets of the game, and today in particular they've been good situationally. Bunting, moving runners over, taking extra bases. Really a terrific game. Our Chevy called the bullpen. Ben Bizarro gave up hits 8 and 9 in that 7th inning on Friday night.
First pitch to Matt Adams, taken low and in. Adams has grounded out sharply to second base. Also flied out to left. Outfield is deep, and the Cardinals lead it 6-0. A 2-0. Adams, a ground ball, base hit. Freese will stop at second base. Adams with his first hit this afternoon. Freese had to make sure that that scooted on by and didn't hit him. And now runners at first and second. One out for Pete Kozma. Getting to a point here, Rick, with a big lead, and you're very cautious with the innings for Michael Wacha. He's on deck. Get one more inning out of him, and maybe you buy yourself a little time with him too by taking him out of the game. And we know this bullpen has been awfully good.
72 pitches for Wacha. We were both somewhat guessing at maybe a 90 pitch, and I wouldn't even call it a limit, expectation. And that's kind of how Mike Matheny described it last time. He said they had a number in mind for him, even though it wasn't a hard number. I'm sure he feels the same way about that here. I think 6 innings would be about right for him.
Out to left, and that'll drop in for a base hit. The bases will be loaded. Wacha will hit, and good for Pete Kozma, on base for the 3rd time today. A walk, a double, and this single, Missouri Lottery Fox Tracks.
2 hits for Kozma, 2 hits for Freese. They are responding to the opportunity to play here on a Sunday afternoon against the Pirates.
Six, 7, and 8 in the lineup. On base 6 times. And Wacha hits it up the middle. Base hit. 1 run is in. Here comes Adams. He will score. Michael Wacha makes it 8-0 Cardinals.
Wacha helps himself. The lead gets extended. And 5 out of 6 batters in the inning with hits for the Cardinals.
Rick, we were talking about this maybe being the most important stretch of baseball for the Cardinals. Pittsburgh last weekend, then Cincinnati, and then finishing up at home against Pittsburgh. And the Cardinals have a chance to play right around that 500 mark in the series against these teams. Carpenter hits it out of play, and he has a couple of hits. Beltran scoring. That goes to Pimentel's line. Close the book on him. 2 2/3. Outside to Carpenter, 1-1. 1 out, runners at the corners. One pitch. Matt Carpenter singled up the middle. And with that base hit in the first, it was hit number 99 here at Busch Stadium 3. So the most ever at home, breaking Pujols' record. And then hit the century mark in the second with a double. That was also an RBI. He's up to 69 this year. He's scored 2 more runs. He's up to 112 runs scored. Since the Pirates won their 81st game to assure themselves at least a 500 record and a non-losing season, they've been outscored 35-11. The 2-2 to Matt Carpenter. Out of play.
Had a chance to visit with Clint Hurdle and Neil Huntington before the game, and they're both talking about the reality that now that the team has done this, the expectations are higher. In fact, Clint said going out of spring training, his expectation was to win the division and to play down the stretch for a chance of playing in October. That's what he was thinking about, not just being 500, but there's certainly more pressure now in Pittsburgh because they've kind of accomplished that first thing. They're not going to be a losing team again. We got that out of the way. Now, what's going to happen the next 3 weeks? And the increased scrutiny is certainly there. And Clint doesn't shy away from that. He believes you're in this game, you ought to be playing to win it, and not just see if we can be average.
The 2-2. Carpenter swing and a miss, and he strikes out for the second time. First strikeout for Ben Mazzaro.
It was a pitch that Carpenter could hit, and you can tell by his reaction he thought he should have.
Young players, never been in this spot for the most part on this roster, so we will see how they handle that added pressure of now not just breaking the streak of 20 consecutive losing seasons, but what they do here down the stretch. 2 outs, 2 on. Here's Jay.
I've seen teams pull together, and I've seen teams pulled apart in the last 3 weeks. The pressure mounts. The tendency for people to start believing on the inside what you're hearing on the outside in some cases of it's this fault, it's that fault, and be making it a blame game is really extraordinary. And if the players start saying, well, the general manager should have gotten us better players, or if the manager says, well, the players aren't playing, or the pitchers are saying, well, the hitters can't, and if you get into that blame game, the team can sometimes fracture under the pressure, and the job is to kind of stay united. And you've been together since spring training, develop your patterns and your connections with one another, and staying together is part of what a manager's job is with his ball club, especially under adversity.
The 2-1 pitch to Jay. Outside, 3-1. Cardinals have scored in 10 innings in this series. 7 of those 10 they have put up crooked numbers. The 3-1 pitch. Here it comes. 3-2. There is a lot to be said that John Jay has been through it before. Pete Cosmo standing at third. Remarkable run down the stretch of last year and into postseason. Michael Walker getting his first taste of it. Mike Matheny, though, was there as a player, now as a manager. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that postseason experience. The 3-2 pitch to Jay. Pulled foul.
Maybe strange to say it, but even coming up through the minor leagues, playing against, let me just say, the Yankees organization, let me pick on them for a second. There was something about playing the Yankees, there was a mystique to them organizationally, that they were used to winning and they would find a way to win. And so something about that uniform as an opponent was a little intimidating. And I think when you're playing against the Cardinals and you know that this Cardinal team is used to October baseball, I think that's a little intimidating to some clubs.
I agree, and I think it's gotten that way certainly here in recent history. Every time we go to a different city, what we hear is this is the model franchise, and they're doing it by developing players. It's homegrown talent. Clint Hurdle will make a double switch here, and it's players that have won at all levels, down in the minor leagues and now doing it here at the big league level. As Holiday will have a chance with the bases loaded to add to this lead when we come back. 11 hits for the Cardinals today. and it's 8-0. Make sure we recognize all the participants at the Clayton 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb today. The event honors 343 firefighters who were killed on 9/11 and raise funds for fallen firefighters. I was there this morning, Rick, to partake in that, and what a neat event. We'll talk more about it here after we see what Holiday does as Jared Hughes comes into the ball game, and his numbers brought to you by Chevy. 27th appearance for the righty, bases loaded, and Matt Holiday coming up. Tony Sanchez, one of their top picks, 4th overall pick a few years ago, is the new catcher, part of the double switch. So Hughes in the 7th spot in the lineup, and Sanchez in the 9th spot for Pittsburgh. 1 ball, 1 strike.
If there's an issue, John Buck behind the plate today, not that familiar with this pitching staff. One thing about getting a catcher late, Russell Martin, of course, is their everyday catcher, and that certainly doesn't explain the first 2 games of this series, and Pirates not pitching well in those 2 games. But I think with a new catcher, it's very tough to get the right feel for what your pitchers are trying to do, especially the guys out of the bullpen that you just don't see very much.
Normal backup. McHenry is out for the year with a knee injury, so Sanchez was called up, and they needed a backup, and that's why they went out and got Buck. The 2-1 is hit to the right side, base hit. 1 run in. It's 9-0 as Walker is held up at 3rd. The Cardinals bat around here in this 5th inning. It all started with Carlos Beltran and a double down the right field line.
Holiday so good at going the other way, hitting the ball hard. Waka, pitcher. Don't want to get him hurt, so let's just hang out here for a bit, says Jose Oquendo.
Beltran doubled to start this inning. 9-0 St. Louis. Boy, they're having some fun this weekend here at Busch Stadium. We've had big crowds.
Seven of the 9 Cardinal batters, including the pitcher Waka, have RBIs this afternoon.
Waka had a single that brought in 2 moments ago here in the 5th inning. 2 balls and no strikes on Carlos Beltran. Two and one. This would be a good time and a good way to have some of these regulars sit again, which Mike Matheny did do the other night during that blowout win. But would be shocking to see Beltran sit, Molina sit, get some work for your bullpen for guys that haven't had a chance to pitch lately. The 2-1. Beltran hits it sharply to second, taken there by Neil Walker. It's another big inning for St. Louis, their biggest of the afternoon. 4 runs. It adds up to a 9-run lead. Greatest goal scorers ever in hockey history. They'll introduce him tomorrow night at 6. We will bring that to you. He'll be part of the front office now for the St. Louis Blues, and Brett Hall tomorrow at 6, live from Scottrade Center. That announcement will come at 6:16, but we'll be on the air beginning at 6. Ray Barilli, the longtime trainer of the St. Louis Blues, been here for years, Rick, and I said, and you know hockey players, man, these guys are tough. Missing teeth, playing with broken bones. I mean, it's unbelievable. I said, who's the toughest guy you've ever seen in this game? Brett Hall. I said, really? You just don't think of that because he's such a great goal scorer. And hey, you think about a big tough guy, and he said, Brett Hall, he said, if fans knew how beat up he was and the price he paid to score goals.
He was a target.
That's the whole point. He said he would park in front, and if he needed to, let that one-timer rip, he would get destroyed on a play. And he said he is, without a doubt, the toughest guy I've seen.
No sense defensively to go beat up the guy that can't hurt you.
Right. Right.
Not that I'm a hockey color guy, but that makes some sense, doesn't it?
You're all over it.
But we used to, the baseball.
You got more hair than Pang, though.
Well, the baseball equivalent, we used to say when guys would get mad at us, like we'd knock them down or they would almost get hit, and they would look back at the pitcher. Our line always was, we only throw at good hitters. I can't tell you the number of times I said that line. That might shock you, Dan, that came out of my mouth.
Oh, I think if people knew that you're actually a smart aleck, they'd be shocked. You come off as Mr. OG, gosh luck, everything's happy, I'm happy. But if they really knew.
Oh, boy. I think
you'd be in trouble.
I hate to agree with you, but I'm going to.
Here's a fly ball lifted out to center off the bat of Jordy Mercer.
That was painful.
And Walker is cruising in this ball game. He has allowed just one hit, and he himself has a hit and a pair of RBIs.
My guess this is going to be his last inning, and not really the worry of pitch count for Michael Wacha. He's just at 76, but with the game in hand at this point, you might say, why push it? And there's no real value if it's a 9-0 lead to have him stay out there. He's done what he's supposed to do. He's given his team a chance to win and then some. Just one hit working into the 6th inning, and why not just have him leave on a positive note and give the bullpen some work with a big lead. Now, as we mentioned earlier, we're very mindful of Friday night's game that was 12-1 going into the 8th inning, and the Cardinals needed to use their closer to finish it. So you have that in the back of your mind, but if you can't close out a 9-0 game with your bullpen, then you shouldn't win anyway.
What has Michael Wacha done for his status in this rotation?
Another good question.
Certainly another start coming up after this, and you think about postseason play. I mean, this guy has been sensational.
Well, that's a decision you don't have to make until you have to make it. And plenty of information needs to happen between now and then before you have to make the choice about postseason. But the trajectory here for Michael Wacha is pretty high.
3-2 on Sanchez. 1 out, nobody on. Sanchez, first plate appearance, part of the double switch. And it's a strikeout for Wacha. Just his second. Turn to the Twitter poll. Now, we did this before this offensive explosion here in Game 3, but what is your favorite moment of the weekend so far? 51%. The Molina home run after he was knocked down on Friday night.
Really 4 good choices there, though. The 9 hits in a row we've never seen before. Waino's outing calmed our fears a bit. David Freese, nice to see him contributing.
That was your choice.
I like it because I think it is important with Alan Craig's absent. Big picture. Not just the moment itself, but what it might mean for this team.
Neil Walker, a fly ball out to left. Michael Wacha, great work here this afternoon. 1-2-3 inning, midway through 6. St. Louis in control of this one. In-game box score. Only one without a hit, but does have an RBI, and that's Yadier Molina. Cardinals, Rick, have had some fun offensively all weekend long.
Been contagious, and this is a team that did not hit well on the last road trip, but they all seem to have found their stroke at one time.
Here is Molina. And the first pitch is taken for a strike. Jared Hughes, his second inning of work. Just a third of an inning for Mazzaro as he was roughed up. And the 0-1 pitch to Yachty. Ground ball that's hit to second. Neil Walker is there for the out. Rick, I mentioned today being at that event for the firefighters, the true heroes. 280 were registered today, and everybody was, and some were with teams, but everybody climbing in honor of a firefighter that was killed on 9/11. We had participants today from Missouri, Illinois, Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas, and New York. There were actual firefighters that came to St. Louis, and I met a couple of the firefighters that were in the Twin Towers and first responders, those that helped others live, and many of their friends perished in the 9/11 tragedy. But as we were talking, and they were Mets fans, and they said that the Wilpons have been amazingly generous as far as at times just showing up at the firehouse and saying hello and bringing players unannounced.
Wow.
And if you remember, Shea Stadium was like a recovery area during 9/11, and they said Bobby Valentine is a very important man for the firefighters of New York and played a special role on 9/11. He said some celebrities and athletes, they didn't want to name names, but used 9/11 as a way to do a photo op. Look what I'm doing. I'm helping out, or I made an appearance. He said there were others, though, that would just show up unannounced to help. Street clothes, no Mets gear, and Bobby Valentine was one of those. And the firefighters were telling me that it was a lot of the Mets that showed up, Yankees too, but because of that site, Shea Stadium, being right there for them as Freeze strikes out, and their firehouse is very close there, many of the Mets would show up. For me today, I was representing Joseph Rivelli Jr., ladder 25, who died in 9/11. But the role that baseball played, they said, was dramatic. And in particular, they said the role that Mike Piazza played with his home run the first game back late in the game against the Braves, because we were talking about our favorite baseball moments, and he said that was my favorite. He said without that, he said, I'm not sure all of us could have moved on. He said the place was going crazy. He said he himself was crying uncontrollably. And today it was just a way for those firefighters to get together. I got goosebumps thinking about it, but the firefighters to get together to remember, but also raise money for those that lost their lives, the families of those that are still here and trying to survive.
Great that you were able to connect with those folks today, and not that baseball itself has the importance, but really maybe what it represented to the folks involved in the tragedy, and the hope that they could smile again and laugh again and play again.
Yeah.
And move on. And that it's almost humbling to realize that baseball
Really
became
is.
so front and center.
David Picorni of Fox Sports set that all up, and he thought this might be a good one to get involved with, and it really was. It was just a really unique experience. And the firefighters, for those that have never seen it before, the equipment that they wear is incredibly heavy. And so you were climbing these stairs that were, it's very tough just to do it without equipment. But the firefighters were in full gear to do it and to represent all firefighters across the country. So congratulations to everyone involved with this. The Clayton 2013 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb, and great awareness and money raised for obviously a wonderful cause. 2-2. Here's the count on Adams. And a high fly ball lifted out to right, got underneath it, and the catch is made by Garrett Jones. We head to the 7th. It's 9-0 St. Louis. 9-run lead for the Cardinals, Rick.
Well, Waka, by virtue of just 84 pitches, earns one more inning, and we're going to look at the Head and Shoulders whip package, and only a couple strikeouts for Waka, one on the changeup, one on the fastball up in the zone. Really hasn't been his way of getting outs today, but he's done it very efficiently. He's pounded the strike zone, and exactly what the Cardinals needed him to do here this afternoon as they're trying to sweep the Pirates.
Our guess would be one more inning for Michael Waka. His pitch count is at 84. And if he's a guy that would be in your rotation, you know, you'd have to think about stretching him out just a little bit here. You can't go 80 pitches every game, so 84. He had 6 innings in his last start and no earned runs. And pitching here into the top of the 7th. Been pretty free and easy too, hasn't it?
Velocity still there on the fastball. Good location there. He and Molina working well together. Got that downward plane. Very simple delivery.
Positioned perfectly is the Cardinal third baseman. It's got to drive you crazy if you're a hitter.
Oh boy, that's a base hit. That should be a base hit to left.
Exactly.
Right there. Between the hole of third and short, unfortunately, there was no hole between third and short.
You know, early on in this game, the Pirates had some hard hit balls, but right at Cardinal defenders, and you know that's part of the game. But then Walker after that really is settled in. Ball 1 to McCutchen.
We should say too that the base hit, which actually was a double by Jordy Mercer, was a bit of a flare to right.
McCutchen, a base hit into right. September 14th. That is coming up next Saturday. It is Photo Day, presented by Creep Cord Camera. You'll be able to go on the field before the game, get up close photos of the players, coaches, even Fred Bird. Field access on a first come first serve basis. So arrive early, charge that camera battery, head to the ballpark next Saturday as Shane Robinson is taken over in right. Three-0 on Morneau. No activity in the Cardinals bullpen. Morneau today is lined out to left and also grounded into a double play. The 3-1 pitch is a fly ball out to left. Holiday is over near the line and makes the catch. McCutchen back to the bag at first. Let's turn to our Nissan drive of the game, and it's a base hit up the middle. First base hit for the Cardinals this afternoon, and with this hit, 99 hits by Carpenter at home. It's the Nissan drive of the game, and 99 hits puts him all alone atop the Cardinals all-time hits list here at Busch Stadium 3, passing Albert Pujols.
Our Nissan drive of the game because it got us started in the right direction here today, and that was not a bad pitch by Charlie Morton, who did not last long. And Cardinals picking up those 2 quick early runs, kind of confirming the momentum that they built in games 1 and 2.
Marlon Byrd is an interesting case for what may happen this offseason. How many teams will be interested in a guy that has had a tremendous season and a comeback year for him? he's back on the radar for many GMs, I'm sure, around baseball.
You'd say he's earned a job. The question is, how much does he think he's going to get paid for that job, and for how long? Those will be the bigger questions.
Could play all three outfield positions. Hits it sharply to short, taken there by Kozma. That's 3, Pete. Time to stretch. Of the Cardinals, it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. That'll be it for Michael Wacha. He was just receiving congratulations inside the Cardinal dugout. Chance to win his 3rd game of the season. And the Pirates have some changes with their pitcher Justin Wilson. Felix P.A. takes over in center field. Andrew Lambeau is in left field. Josh Harrison at second. And Gabby Sanchez is at first. So the Chevy called to the pen. Kozma breaks his bat. Hit to second. And taken there by Harrison. Had Morton, the starter, go an inning and 2/3 today for Pittsburgh. Pimentel, Mazzaro, Hughes, and now this lefty, Wilson.
Justin Wilson, along with Tony Watson, a pretty good 1-2 punch from the left side. And very important part of this Pirate team when they play against the Cincinnati Reds, and they're going to have 2 series against the Reds, to have those good left-handed relievers to face Votto, Chu, Bruce. We know how important it is. We just saw him.
First pitch is strike to Brock Peterson. Got the start yesterday with Jeff Locke on the mound, the lefty. So Peterson got a start, had a couple of at-bats, and then they went to their bullpen. Cardinals countered with Matt Adams as Peterson grounds it to third. High throw. And Alvarez commits his 27th error this year.
seen him make some very good plays in this series, going to his left, to his right. This one's pretty simple. All he's got to do is play pitch and catch, but airmails that throw.
I was thinking that Mike Matheny might take Carpenter out of the game after back-to-back Ks, just give him a little break. He did have 2 hits his first 2 times up, but you could see wholesale changes with a Carpenter or Molina. We've already seen Beltran taken out, maybe Holiday as well. That is a way, and Mike Matheny's talked about it, how your bullpen and managing that bullpen, and you were visiting in your Baseball 101 about when to get guys in and when they come out, but it's also a chance to try to keep your bench sharp too.
You have a lot of purposes, and it's very situational, depending upon the score, the opponent, what's happening the next day. And we actually talked about it in that Baseball 101 event that we did, where a lot of fans are come to the ballpark and they just don't understand why Yadier Molina's not playing that day.
Ground ball slowly hit out at second, and Carpenter safe at first.
And he can't play every day. You just can't as a catcher. It's not physically possible. You mentioned how he's caught more innings than anybody in the National League. Well, you still have to keep him fresh every once in a while. Look for the right place to kind of give him some extra rest, even late in the game, or maybe a day game after a night game. Certainly he was in the lineup today because of the importance of this game against the Pirates, but with the off day tomorrow, I would guess we won't see Yadi anymore the rest of this game.
Then people may say, why is Yadi still in the game today? And I think it's solely the reason of wanting to keep him on the same page with Michael Wacha. Young pitcher. Obviously, those two are clicking. And you don't want to disrupt that. There's John Axford. He was in the ball game on Friday night, hit a man, and then ejected after both benches had been worn prior to him coming into the game. One ball and 2 strikes, 2 outs. Carpenter is the runner at first. They'll play behind him. He has a huge lead. A 9-run lead for the Cardinals here in the home half of the 7th. And a fly ball lifted to center. Felix PA makes the catch. Cardinals strand a runner. And Axford coming in when we come back. What a fun race this is going to be in the final couple of weeks as Axford takes over and our Chevy Colt to the pen. And this will be game number 67 for John Axford.
You mentioned game number 66 didn't last very long as he got tossed for throwing a pitch up and in on Tony Sanchez that I don't know if he got away or it was on purpose. Who knows? But either way, he had to get tossed because the teams were warned. Get a recap of this series. Cardinals have outscored the Pirates 26-8. And the average with runners in scoring position, 378 for St. Louis.
How about the 17 extra base hits, all the doubles the Cardinals have hit? They've hit 2 home runs in this series. Molina's and Freeze's. Here's Pedro Alvarez. Fights it off. And a little floater that stays fair down the left field line. Alvarez digging for 2. And that's Chambers out left. Call that an error on Chambers. That's a tough error. Probably would have been a double anyway.
Yeah, that's not the right call, I wouldn't think, because he's going to get a double anyway as the ball gets away from Chambers.
Brings in Lambo. How intrigued are you with John Axford?
I'm intrigued that he's still throwing hard, still throwing in the mid-90s. Could be a big plus for this team. Another strong arm out in the bullpen. Not exactly sure where he fits yet, which I think is where he kind of ended up with the Brewers. When he was the closer, he was clearly the guy. And then after he was no longer the closer, they weren't sure whether to use him in multiple innings, use him in the 8th, use him in the 7th, and they kind of used him all over the place. And I kind of feel the same way about him. I'm not exactly sure where his best role will be, but nice to have a good live arm out in that bullpen.
1 ball, 1 strike, 9-run lead. Alvarez, a runner at second base. Again, the Sunday night game is in Cincinnati tonight. Great matchup. Kershaw 14-8. Dodgers trying to avoid the sweep. And Homer Bailey, who was just flat out nasty against the Cardinals his last time out, 10-10. After seeing his stuff game that he pitched this past week, I'm trying to figure out how Homer Bailey is 10-10. He looked awesome. Cardinals have talked about a technical mechanical flaw with Axford. And I found it interesting that when Axford got to St. Louis, which was when we were in Pittsburgh, Cardinals said, don't even look at the scouting report of the opposition. Here is our scouting report on you. And these are the things that we felt we could exploit against you and what we think we need to work on. And so far, so good. Two and two. Joe Kelly has emerged as a weapon in this rotation. He's now 8-0 since June 12th with a 1.70 ERA. Wainwright, very good last night. Michael Wacha, outstanding here today. 2-2 the count. 40,156 the attendance today. 40,156. All 3 crowds over 40,000 for the weekend. Still very good seats available for Milwaukee in the midweek series and next weekend as well. We'll see Seattle next weekend, a team that has got a lot of hope because they have good prospects and young players, but it's been another tough go for them. 65-77. 2-2 pitch. A 3-2. Popped up. Left side. Freeze giving chase. Out of play.
Well, the real scouting report on Axford that the Cardinals really shared with him was something that we've known the last couple of years watching Axford pitch for the Brewers. After being one of the game's best closers, he really lost his off-speed pitch, the command of his off-speed pitch. So what teams were doing is just looking for fastballs, and they were just leaving that off-speed pitch alone and taking it, and he was walking guys with it. And what happened next is teams started to center his fastball because that's all they were looking for, and so he lost the deception. And really that's going to be the key for him is having two pitches that work that he can command. Very hard to be a one-pitch pitcher. Chapman maybe could do that, although he doesn't. Get that nasty slider to go along with the 103-mile-an-hour fastball, but relief pitcher needs two quality pitches that he can command. The starter needs three.
Strikeout for Axford. Cardinals baseball is brought to you today in part by Schnucks, your neighborhood hometown grocer. Go back to that point, Rick, why a starter needs more than just two pitches.
Michael Wacha had to face the Pirates 3 different times today, and so if you're just fastball changeup, that's all you are, and you don't have a curveball to go along with it, you just have less combinations, permutations to get guys out, and they'll start to kind of figure you out a little bit even with the two pitches. So you've got to have a third variety to throw in there to keep them guessing, and most starting pitchers will have a changeup of some sort, a breaking pitch of some sort to go along with their fastball in order to survive.
Yankees beat Boston today 4-3. Mets over Cleveland 2-1. That's a big loss for the Indians. Washington wins. They post a W. They're now 6-4 over Miami. White Sox all over Baltimore. They win that ball game now 4-2. Phillies over Atlanta. That's good news for the Cardinals. 3-2. Talk about the best record in the National League. We mentioned Kansas City, a winner over Detroit 5-2, and Toronto blanked Minnesota 2-0. 0-2 pitch. Check swing by Mercer. He held up. Got him. Called third strike. That time the breaking ball by Axford. Nice pitch.
That's the equalizer we're talking about. Sharp breaking ball, late break. It was up in the zone, but still got the job done. Buckled the knees of Jordy Mercer. And another.
Two outs. Runner at second base for Tony Sanchez. Struck out swinging. First time up back in the 6th inning. Part of a double switch. Took Buck out of the game. Brought in Sanchez.
You're searching for your second best pitch out of the bullpen, and you hear that little voice in your head that baseball has kind of been saying for years, is you don't want to get beat with your second or third best pitch. That line has been
hammered into people for so many years, and there's a lot of truth to that, but you can almost take it too far to where you don't throw that second or third best pitch ever. And you've got to find the right spots for it. But if you're a closer, Dan, think about the reality of you might get beat at any moment. So it's not as if you're working in the second, you have a chance to develop it. Game's on the line as a closer, always. So in Axford's case, he's got a curveball that is not quite right. In his head, he's thinking, well, I don't want to get beat by my second best pitch, so all you do is throw fastball.
How tough is this role for him right now? You mentioned that it's kind of a up in the air role. You're not sure what you're doing as far as coming in the 8th, or are you a 9th inning guy? Are you middle relief, a long man, whatever the case may be, and you're John Axford trying to then also work through mechanics?
Well, I think it's better if you're trying to work through mechanics and performance to not be so concerned about your role, and he's got some leeway to do whatever he wants to do. Work on his pitches. Throw that fastball down and away. Get another strikeout. Go sit down.
Like that, strikes out the side. Draft Mart Home Tap System. Fresh draft Budweiser beer. Now available from your fridge. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Enjoyable day here at the ballpark. Cardinals lead it 9-0. Michael Wacha allowed 2 hits. Axford 1 hit. Here is Kyle Farnsworth. And it's our Chevy call to the pen for Pittsburgh. Be nice to see Colton Wong get something going.
Showed some very good signs, especially defensively. Runs well. And just been a little unsteady at the plate so far, but a .303 hitter in AAA, you know he can hit. It's just a matter of time. Small sample size really on the at-bats, but good at-bat there without production.
Grounds out to Harrison. 1 away. Farnsworth has been around a long time. Home runs allowed in relief. 97. The one I'll never forget. Chicago and So Taguchi turned around a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and put it into the either the seats or onto the street out at Wrigley. What turned out to be a dramatic win for St. Louis. Here's Shane Robinson. One out, nobody on. First pitch to Shane, a breaking ball and a strike. Saw Farnsworth on Friday night, scoreless frame. Made his Pirates debut a week ago and struck out 2 of the 3 that he saw. It was against St. Louis. Brought up from AAA Indianapolis, and an ERA over 4 and just 6 2/3 of innings pitched there. Jammed, and it's popped up. Alvarez for out number 2. Was designated for assignment by Tampa Bay and then signed by Pittsburgh. This time of day, around 4 o'clock here in St. Louis. This is when the shadows do become a factor, and with postseason play and trying to accommodate television, a lot of times your games do start around 4 o'clock.
Kind of odd schedules based on trying to let most areas in the country pick up the particular game, and so it does create for some odd start times, and players don't like it. There's no question about it. The Cardinals were very vocal about it a couple years ago. The shadows affecting their ability to see at the plate, not being fair. Of course, both teams have to deal with it.
Those darn TV guys, blame them.
That's what I was thinking.
It's all your fault, Horton. Here's Tony Cruz, 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 outs.
Nice to have Tony Cruz back. Kind of a bad break, literally at a bad time for him. He was getting a chance to catch every day with Yadier Molina on the disabled list, and then Cruz got hurt as well. That gave an opportunity to Rob Johnson. So now all 3 of the catchers here, as well as Perez, who we've not seen yet.
Saw him in spring training. Known for his glove. Good defender.
You know what his biggest chore every day now is? Learning English. He and Carlos Martinez every night study English.
St. Louis coming up after the game on the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Pat Paris and Jim Edmonds standing by. The Cardinal offense continues its feast. They'll have the impressive numbers. Another great outing by Michael Wacha. They'll break down his day. Plus, we'll have Mike Matheny's post-game comments as well. The Cardinals have the broom poised. Dan Rick, they're looking to complete the sweep.
Certainly would be nice here, Jim, and Sam Freeman is into the ball game, and it'd be nice to see another shutout too.
Yeah, pretty amazing that the Cardinals are that close to back-to-back shutouts after the pitching struggled for the road trip, and really the bullpen hasn't, though. Sam Freeman's been a part of a very solid Cardinal bullpen. And we believe he's throwing harder than we've ever seen him throw, mid to upper 90s at times. There's the numbers for Sam Freeman, our Chevy call to the bullpen. Low ERA, 7 strikeouts, and 3 walks.
So Freeman in. Wong stays into the ballgame at second. Ryan Jackson is at third. Here's Josh Harrison, who has homered in this series. That pitch to the backstop. What point do you think Mike Matheny would try to get Perez an at bat? You know, some of these guys that have been in the minor leagues get called up. Perez known for his glove. It's Tony Cruz behind the plate right now. Is that something that is important before this season gets through, that you want to reward these guys and give them at least one bat?
I think he's going to get it at some point, and thought we might see it here this afternoon, but Mike was very clear talking about Audrey Perez today that his #1 job is to learn English. That's exactly what he said. He said because especially at the catcher's position, you need to be able to understand the nuances of what we're talking about in the team meeting about how we pitch somebody. Not only that, understanding the meeting, but when you get out on the mound and you have to make an adjustment, you better be able to lead and direct and understand what the pitcher's saying to you and listen clearly. And if you have language barrier, which he still does, as does Carlos Martinez, you got to work on it and you have to learn it.
9-run lead. Leadoff walk by Freeman. Nine-run lead. Really no need to hold that runner at first on. But Cardinals are doing that in this case. That shutout must be pretty important. Cardinals have turned 2 double plays. Here's an 0-1 to Jones. Now Freeman the last couple of years has dealt with arm issues, and that is at times kind of taken him off the radar of the Cardinals. Then Segrist emerges. You sign Randy Choate. But Sam Freeman has a chance to really make an impression here. And I think to an extent he already has.
I'm not sure it raises to the level of the impression that Kevin Segrist has made out of the bullpen, but nice to have 2 young arms throwing hard.
I'm not sure Cy Young in his prime would.
Right. Do I have to go back to those Cy Young numbers again?
I mean, it's the Segrist numbers are unbelievable. Ooh, that catches the home plate umpire. Milwaukee coming up on Tuesday night. Rick, that's a series that if you're a contending or championship team, you take 2 of 3. Have to.
No question about that. Pitching matchup should be in the Cardinals' favor.
Line drive into left center field. Harrison can run, and he is on his way to third. They'll wave him in. Harrison will score the first run of the afternoon for Pittsburgh, and they finally get on the board. Back-to-back games in which they had been shut down, and that makes it 9-1. RBI double for Garrett Jones, who is hitting .053 against left-handed pitching this year. .053.
Really has not been given very many opportunities. They pinch hit him in a heartbeat against a left-hander, and pretty good at bat against Freeman there. He's Freeman's kind of an over-the-top lefty. You wouldn't think of him as necessarily being more nasty on a lefty than a righty. He doesn't have, I mean, changeup's really a great pitch for him, as is the fastball. The breaking pitch is okay. Still a good at bat for Jones either way.
Strike to Felix P.A. These opposing teams, Rick, they come away seeing Segrist, Rosenthal, Sam Freeman. The number of power pitchers Cardinals have coming out of their bullpen is astounding.
Reading a minor league report this morning, Dan, and there's a couple of young pitchers. They had an A ball, one in AA, who are flamethrowers as well. One guy in rookie ball throwing 95, and so maybe there's some more down the road. And whoever's scouting them, whoever's making them breakfast, whatever it is they're doing, the weight training that's going on, keep it up.
Two-one pitch by Freeman. 2-2. Pittsburgh will head down to Dallas. They'll take on the Texas Rangers. That begins a series tomorrow night. They're in the midst of a 10-game road trip. They took 2 of 3 in Milwaukee. And on the verge of being swept here in St. Louis. Freeman commits an error. Sam Freeman, by the way, a very athletic pitcher, and some believe he may be the fastest runner on this roster. That includes Adrian Chambers.
Everything going a little bit too fast for him there as he booted that ball. Mike Matheny wants to have a little chat with Sam Freeman. And actually, the chat will have to continue later. Here comes Fernando Salas from the Cardinal bullpen. To the bullpen, Fernando Salas, game number 25 for the right-hander, as Sam Freeman's not able to get through the 9th inning. 9-1 St. Louis. Cardinals have out-hit Pittsburgh 12-4. Cardinals have made a couple of errors in this game, including an error by Freeman to our last batter, and Salas will have an opportunity to finish this game facing Gabby Sanchez. Runners at first and third and nobody out here in the 9th.
Where does Salas fit with this team down the stretch? We're talking about roles with some of these relievers. He's trying to find a role as well. I'm sure he didn't envision himself cleaning up a 9-1 game. Here's an 0-1 pitch.
Well, the question's a little bit, it's a good question, and it's an opportunity for him to make a role for himself. I mean, if you pitch well, you get better roles. If you pitch well in those roles, you get better roles after that. A little bit like saying who's the MVP in June. Who knows? Wait till the season's over. And I think for Mike Matheny, those choices of who's a roster player and who's not aren't going to be easy ones, but it's going to be based on who's playing the best at the end of this month and who's earned it. So you get your opportunities. And as we've been saying the last week or so, Tony La Russa line, you either do or you don't.
Cardinals have turned a pair of double plays. Here's a 1-2 pitch by Salas. Fly ball lifted out to right. Shane Robinson makes the catch for the first out. Runner tags up to make it 9-2. Let's charge to Freeman. And we turn to our Budweiser player of the game. Cardinal starter Michael Walkup.
Just 2 hits in 7 innings of work. Very solid work for Walkup. Under 100 pitches in those 7 innings, and didn't have really the strikeout working today, but didn't need it. Had really good command. Derek Lilliquist, Mike Matheny, very pleased with their starting pitching in this series.
That's slapped the other way by Travis Snyder.
Ouch. Fan tried to catch that ball and it hit him in the shoulder.
Put a glove on that shoulder.
Ouch. Laughing about it.
He is.
I think.
I think I also see a couple of tears now forming.
Yeah, you have good eyes.
Yeah, one just, yep, left cheek. Check that out. Woo! 2-2.
He's rubbing it. And now he's texting his friends.
Well, if he's rubbing it, you might as well just start crying then. Snyder, a swing and a miss. I wish you weren't so sarcastic at times up here, Rick.
Well, you're teaching me. Touche.
Having some fun. Cardinals on the cusp of a sweep. Pittsburgh came to town. They were in first place. Not anymore. Fielder's indifference. No steal. One-oh pitch. Lined into right field. Robinson is there. It's a sweep over Pittsburgh. Win number 83 for St. Louis. 9-2 the final.
The Cardinals didn't just sweep this series, they did it in convincing fashion. They led the entire 3 games. The starting pitching outstanding. The bats have come alive, and the Cardinals are now a game and a half ahead of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Cincinnati will play later tonight. It's on to the post-game show. I'm sure they'll be talking about that man, Matt Carpenter. A sweep here in St. Louis.